Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. How's everyone doing? We survived another week. Oh, boy. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, John. John Schmidt, to be exact. I still like Zello. I still like Zello. You ever consider changing your name to Zello, John? Ah, good morning, Patrick. Let's see. Has Sterling's found a channel on YouTube? He also put the link in there. Jesse Livermore's Trading Legacy. I have never seen it. Don't know anything about it. I have read Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. If you have not read the book, I highly suggest it. I mean, I haven't read that since, oh boy, the early 90s, but it's an excellent book. Good morning, Sterling. Hope hope your mother is doing better. Good morning, OD Green. Good morning, Yoshi. I'm just going to call you Yoshi. Yoshi. I like that. But if that offends you, please let me know in the chat. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Jake. Good morning, Anissa. What task? I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that show. Thanks. I'll check that out. Good morning, Daniel. Good morning, David. Good morning, Balaji. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in on this fine Friday. Markets looks like it's running out of a little steam, but we shall see what happens at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. we have the September PCE numbers, so all the way back in September, and we have the consumer sentiment preliminary numbers for December and inflation expectations. So that's what we're looking at today. So 10 a.m. is my key thing this morning. Yogi. Okay, we'll go with Yogi. We're going to call you Yogi. Is that okay? Yogi. Yogi. All right, I'll remember that. I got to put that in my brain. Thank you for letting me know. All right, so that's 10 a.m. this morning. Eastern time is key, for me at least. We have the Netflix merger with Warner Brothers. Let's see if it goes through Warner Brothers Discovery. Netflix down, Warner Brothers Discovery is up on that. Other than that, mega caps are sort of mixed going into the open. Again, a lot of things are very flat this morning. We're going to see what happens at 10 a.m. If we refresh this, basic materials, healthcare, technology are up. Energy and consumer defensive and consumer cyclical are down. Fed watch is 87% for the cut next week. Slight drop from yesterday, but not much. In the upper end of fear mode. Good morning, Ted. Teddy Ballgame. Teddy Ballgame. Where's the ball game come from, Ted? I need to know. I need to know these things. Schiller PE 4048. Hello, Charles. So, in terms of earnings, we had DocuSign released yesterday afternoon, down. If you have DocuSigns, we also had Hewlett Packard Enterprise, which is a big miss yesterday, Rubrik yesterday. But this morning, I didn't even look. But I guess we have Victoria's Secret. I guess we had Victoria's Secret today. Yay. All right. All right. Hello, Charles. So, that's a Ted Williams. Okay, that's a Ted Williams reference. Thank you for clarifying. That's interesting. So, 10 a.m. Guess still what I'm watching. Sound like a broken record. No need to tune in anymore. I'm watching the 4-hour rotation zone. Watching the 4-hour rotation zone. Dip below it slightly yesterday afternoon, but back above it. So again, I watch on a closing basis unless we have major momentum that takes it out. So again, the closing is most important. You don't have to. It's not a wall to like, oh, we've hit the 21. I just got to be a buyer. I watch for if it dips below, I watch it to get back above. But we dipped already down here and is moving on up. Remember, this is really running a little on fumes Right now, just slowly grinding higher, but we got the support of the rotation zone in there. So if we do break down at 10 a.m., I'm keeping an eye closer to 68.35, 68.30 to 68.35 area. First key level support, those 68.55, 68.75. Still a minor resistance level. We've already popped up above there. So going in the open, it's about 68.80. And then remember the 87.5 is at 6,900. And there's a lot of prior resistance up there too. So if we do pop on that, I'm keeping an eye on that level very, very closely. That's about it. This is looking though. I can't plan on a break because I can't get overly short unless we had massive momentum. That would only be short term short. Other than that, I'd be watching if we did break lower back into this key support level, and the major support level is back at 6,800. If something drastic happened, I don't know what that would be, but the next key level is 6750 and the 50 EMA. NASDAQ, same broken record. 4-hour rotation zone coming back. We tested it earlier this morning and just rotating up. We still haven't checked off the 75% harmonic in the futures, 25,775. And there's also a lot of resistance up there in the futures. Hey, Roscoe, you got to stop snoring, buddy. So, good boy, Roscoe. I'm sorry to wake you up. All right, the key levels in the NASDAQ again, right around this 25,600 area is also right around the bottom of the rotation zone, 25,590, 25,600. We do break below there. I'm looking at 25,484 to 2,500 as the next key level. That's also where the rising 8 is coming into. And there's a minor support shelf there. On a bigger move down, 25,275 to 25,300 is the next key support level, and disaster mode is 25,060, just above that, 25,060 to 25,100. So when we get fake momentum that reverses on days like this, how do you spot that? Again, it's tape reading. How fast orders are getting taken out. And if things start rushing in really quick, like, hey, we do break, especially a key level, and then let's say it's a break to the downside, a break of a key support, and then we get a ton of orders stepping in front of it, like that's right, and it starts absorbing all the selling pressure. That means, hey, to me, that gives a clear indication that the buyers are still stepping in and they're going to try to step in front of momentum. So then we get those false signals. If the orders just start evaporating, like especially if you see depth of book and all of a sudden without them being filled and you can see it go by on the tape without it being filled, orders are just canceled, then we generally break with momentum. So the Dow 4-hour rotation zone, first level of support, keep an eye on, is closer to about 47,760. Key resistance to break out is 48 heading into the open, and then 48,185 ticks off the 87.5 rule. There's not as much resistance up there. You see here, it's into a clear path move. So if the Dow breaks out and gets above, and this is going even next week, 48,185, the next key target is 48,375. If we do break down again, 47,760 area, and then below that, the major support is all the way back. The next minor support is about 47,600 and major support 47,300. So, Russell, ticked off the 87.5 rule yesterday. Does that mean the move has to be done? No, but we've paused, pulled back there. You can see over here that we've now pulled back to a prior level of support. Next target higher is 25.52 roughly. And then if we broke above there, all-time highs, watch the 4-hour rotation zone. But if we do break down the open, 25.17, and then closer, the next major support is 25.05. They have Ted suspended in liquid nitrogen in hopes of bringing DNA replica of Ted back someday. Thank you. That is useless but interesting information on a Friday. I will ponder that. The revival of Ted Williams. VIX bumping up a little, but again, very much against key support. Dropped in this range. Closer to this 1550 where I was looking at it. So we'll have to see. I'm keeping an eye at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. to see how volatility reacts. The DAX. Come on, DAX. There we go. No more potential double. No more of that. Breaking yesterday, closing above the 50 EMA, and today following through with momentum. So now I'm going back to the target areas of about 24,160 area. We close above there. 24.4 is the next target higher. Interesting enough, the yields on the 10-year moving up slowly, pulling back a little since earlier today, but not much. What's really fascinating is the 30-year. It was above the 200 earlier. Pausing here, but I'm going to keep a very close eye on this. Is it going to trigger the inverse head and shoulders today or not? I don't know if this was invalidated. I checked it earlier and it wasn't officially invalidated, and it's still, the potential double top is still not officially invalidated. So if we had a big reversal, maybe with the PCE numbers or consumer sentiment, gonna keep an eye on this, the low from December 3rd. Other than that, watching for this to potentially trigger. Crude looks like it's finally trying to make a slightly higher base, but there's not great trading in here. It's all scalpy. Natty gas continues to plow higher, holding the trend up. Getting a little overdone at this point, so I know where, if you're long natty gas, know your trailing stop is gold. Gold nearly into a triple top territory. Again, that was just in case we were going to get the bigger pullback. Looks like it's just going to hold the 8 EMA. We start breaking above 42.74. Next key target, 43.35, 43.36. Silver moving on up, bouncing back on up. So it's, let's just see. I mean, is there any great buy signal there yet? No. But now from a trailing perspective, this 56.85 area is really key. Dollar index, after triggering the double, remember, I'm just looking for things on pullbacks with the dollar, not shorting the dollar, because we have the massive weekly double bottom that is triggered. Euro, triggering the double bottom and just pausing. Wonder if this is going to be one of those ones, fake out ones. Yields in Japan on the 10-year still climbing. And on the yen, I'm keeping an eye on this best fit line right here. There's been some buying pressure down here below 154.70. So I'm keeping a close eye on that. Bitcoin, little pullback. Little pullback. The channel is holding. What's interesting, though, is Ethereum did officially trigger a double bottom and pulling back to the key trigger point without hitting the first target yet. So I'm still watching for the bounce in crypto. We just haven't, and that's a bounce only. Spiders again reconfirmed yesterday that resistance at the 87.5. Slight gap up this morning. So for the gap fill, it'd be to 684.39 and key support 683.80. Below that, it's the rotation zone and roughly around Wednesday's lows. 679.75 to 680. To the upside, the next target I'm still looking at is for this gap fill 687.39. So, yeah, I do have the right targets up there. The Qs, slight gap up today. So on a rollover play, it'd be for the gap fill 622.94. Very key support back down at 618. The next key target, should we break to the upside, first target for me is 629.98, and then the gap fill to 632.08. Good morning. What is that? Dabo Yandy. Dabo Yandy. Oh, here's thank you. We have Victoria's Secret beat stock up 15%. There's your Hewlett Packard. Don't go into the server business. Beat Miss down 9%. Go into lingerie. Obviously, the lesson for today. But will he bat? That's a good question. Will he bat 400? Will a clone of Teddy Williams bat 400? Huh. Very, very interesting. You know what? That's a good thing to ponder if the market gets slow. Other than that, Tesla, the double bottom, which triggered and gave plenty of opportunity to get in. Hit the first target, not the second target yet. So first target has been hit. Slight gap down today. Second target and the 87.5 is roughly around this 462.60 area. We got Broadcom earnings next week. Just keep that in mind. Also, Oracle earnings next week. Trying to carve out a little bigger bottom. I'm still watching for another leg down in Oracle, though, after it gets done with this bounce. And by the way, this could be triggering a percent beat buy in a weekly back into the weekly rotation zone. Snow in Maryland. Oh, I do not miss snow. What else? What else have did I answer your question, Jake, about that? Nvidia slightly below the, yes, it is. It still has to close. Nvidia also does have a potential double top. Little minor one. Is it valid? Yes, it is. Because this is the move it's reversing and the first and second target. So that's the only thing I'm keeping an eye on Nvidia. That's just a very minor pattern. But I'm keeping an eye on that. And then as Daniel pointed out, if it can move back above last week's high, it is an official percent beat buy. If it doesn't, it's not. And that would also be a rotation zone buy too. But Nvidia has seriously been running out of momentum. Oh, don't you love the salt for your car? Making it nice and dirty with that white film. What else? That's about it. That is about it. Third Tesla target is in the wicks. How do I handle that? Third target, third target. I get a little more aggressive to raise a stop at the end of the candle bodies, especially if there's a gap left behind, which there is. You see the date, Monday, November 3rd, technically does not have a full gap fill. So at least I'd be raising a stop in that area again. All right. But since this doubles at recent highs, and that's still, if it can continue up and get above that 87.5, that's still the next magnet price. That is our official target. It's actually the all time high. The high is 474.07. My target is 474. If it stalls out intraday, it could be 473.95, but it's right in that area. It's not on the other side of 474. If you want to be conservative, I do it to this gap open though, or the gap reversal. I shouldn't say gap open, it close. The closing gap down reversal. So here. All right. Anything else that I missed? Maybe, Mike, when we get slower towards Christmas night, show how swing trade futures using 4 hour, I guess, limiting initial stop loss to reasonable. Yeah, we can discuss that. Let's try to do it closer to Christmas time. Again, things are still a little too busy right now. We got the Fed meeting next week. All right, so that's where we sit. Don't know what else to say for today, so I'm not going to say anything else. I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I will talk to everyone later. Bye for now.